So here's a question. Do you think manuals are more fun in normal everyday cars like mine, or in like crazy supercars?
Both.
You get a manual.
Well, here's what a saying I've heard. I don't know if I necessarily believe it. It is more fun to drive a slow car fast than a fast car slow. Fast cars, especially today's fast cars, I feel like are too fast for our roads.
Ridiculously fast.
Like our speed limit is 65, 70. Like you can get there, you can hit 60 in most cars in 3 or 4 seconds, and then you're fun.
That's the standard for a fast car.
So to rip through the gears on something like your Dart, and it takes forever to get to 60, but you're rowing through the gears as if it's fun.
Yeah.
Like
that's
I feel like that's almost more fun.
Like in an automatic, you're just like.
Yeah. Definitely in slower cars, the manual adds a huge factor.
Yeah. Oh, perfect example. Shelby GT350. You shift once, and then you're at 60.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I totally believe it.
Yeah.
It comes like 9,000.
You shift once.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because it's set down so much.
You're in second and you're going 60.
Yes, and anymore you go straight to prison.
Yeah.
Oh, third gear. Oh crap, police. But I definitely agree that having a manual in a normal car is I think steps the car up a lot more than it would be in a super fast car.
I know you guys hate Porsches, right? But Porsche still makes a 911 in a manual.
Do that.
But
you know what I will
NA.
say? Porsche did pioneer fantastic brakes.
Oh yeah.
I will say that.
Well,
about
Porsche's engineering is
top
over.
notch.
It's I understand that.
Not as good as Koenigsegg.
Well,
Without Porsche, would you have
$3 million?
that? I don't know.
No, but the 911 is it's
They're
always
super
winning.
innovative.
Best
Super
driving.
Yeah.
It beats all the lap times. It's a fast car. I just don't think they look cool or sound good. So, and that's what's more important
Each
to me.
their own, I
And
guess.
they, at least they have the heritage.
Yeah.
New cars that come out don't have manuals because they don't have the heritage. The Challenger
That's true,
only has a
actually.
manual
The nostalgia
because
factor.
it's been around since the late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah.
Beating everybody.
I mean, the only car I can think of that started to move away from it and has moved away from it permanently is the Vet.
Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
gonna say that. I mean, that's if a new car came out and no manual was option, nobody would care. But the Corvette came out without a manual, and now everybody's upset.
Oh,
Super
all the
well.
purists were like,
Yeah,
"What are you
that's
doing?"
I was upset. I was hoping they'd pull out
Yeah,
something, but
I was pretty upset with the Supra too.
They should have had a dual clutch anyway if they're going for an automatic.
Yeah, well, the
Does
thing
the
is,
Supra have a dual clutch?
if
No.
That's so lame.
I know.
Yeah.
well,
Dude,
at least
all
the
the
Vet has
super
a
fans
dual
are
clutch.
losing their minds with
yeah.
the transmission.
Well, the other thing with the
That whole
Corvette
car.
is if you make enough power, you can slip the clutches.
Can you?
Yes.
Oh well, I mean that's because
Well, the original problem was that it would twist the frame.
That's right. I remember that. No, but are you talking about like twin turbo? And you see that dual clutch is not rated for 1,000 horsepower.
Well, even with less than 1,000 horsepower, you can still slip the clutches.
Okay.
If you make enough, even though the Trans is rated for it, you can still slip them.
I know Corvette has a feature you can pull the clutches in and
dump
you
it.
can rev the engine
Yeah, you can-
basically. Which
You can
is
dump the
pretty cool.
clutch.
That's
But I
pretty
mean,
cool.
it's so grippy you like can't slide it basically.
No.
'Cause it's
Yeah.
mid-engine and it only makes 490
Yeah.
foot-pounds.
Engineering.
Every review I read is that the Vet understeers.
Yes.
Yeah, but there's
Yeah,
a reason they did
yes.
that. Well, we think there's a reason they did that.
Well, there is a reason.
Would you like to tell us the reason?
I don't remember the reason. However,
Well,
there's
power,
a video.
baby. I remember the power.
There is a reason, and I saw
Many
a video.
reasons.
This guy had received a cutout of a C8 from Chevy, and he got to explain everything, all the science and stuff,
he's got
why
connect.
stuff is
Yeah, he knows
like
Yeah.
the braking distance is slower than the C7. So
I did
stuff
read
like
about
that. Yes, there are reasons.
Yeah, well, I think the understeer thing is because most people who can afford the Corvette aren't used to the mid-engine performance.
No.
And so they'd rather you understeer, which is safer than you snap oversteering again.
But the
Yeah.
Z06.
Dude,
Yes.
yes. Did you read what they got from the engine?
No.
Like, Motor Trend got official reports from Chevy that it's gonna rev to 9,000 RPM.
Oh.
And it's a 5.5 liter V8. It's gonna be naturally
flat
aspirated.
crank?
Yeah, flat crank.
Oh.
And
It sounds
apparently,
so good.
apparently it's like a big displacement for a flat plank
It
crank.
is.
And to rev to 9,000
Yeah.
RPM.
Can Chevy please release a Corvette with like some sort of forced induction. Please.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
They need to do that.
ZR1.
ZR1,
It's
yeah.
coming.
They need to.
And then rumors are there's going to be a Zora, which is a hybrid twin turbo V8.
No.
Make like 1,000 horsepower all-wheel drive.
Okay.
Ew.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
I would buy it.
Here's the thing.
If I
Well,
had
like
one.
you were talking about flat plane crank and stuff. The biggest flat plane crank that I know of is the 5.2 liter in the
The
Mustang.
Voodoo.
And that revs to like
Yeah.
8,200 or something.
Don't they have like some weird balancer on it to stop it from shaking itself apart?
I don't know. That I think that's true.
It's such an
Oh,
unreliable
before we
motor.
continue, can you
Is it-
please explain
Yeah.
flat crank to everybody?
Okay.
Oh yeah, give us
So
a brief explanation.
okay, yeah. So flat plane crank. Let's see,
Local
how do I
mechanic.
explain it? So a normal American V8,
454.
when a piston comes up and is ready to be fired, there may not necessarily be another piston coming up to balance it. That's why you get that weird like burbly like V8 sound, like blah 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 blah.
Lopins.
Yeah, loping, like kind of that just
It's got a big
burble.
cam in it, man.
Yes.
So when you have a flat plane crank, I mean, like flat plane or cross plane, it only matters if you're actually looking at the crankshaft. I'm just explaining like the sound and kind of like what it means for the engine. So a flat plane crankshaft has even firing pulses. Every time there's a piston going up, there's another piston coming down to balance it. Piston's going down, there's another piston coming up to balance it. So the engine is theoretically a lot more balanced and is able to rev out really high. The downside is they don't make quite as much torque. They
Yeah,
make
I
up
do.
for it for really high RPM power. That's why they use them in Formula One and Ferraris. And
Yeah, I mean,
You have to
Stuff
stay
like that.
super high up in the RPM. There.
Yeah, so I mean, as far as a daily driver, that's why a lot of people decide to go with the cross plane V8 rather than flat plane.
right, because it's nice not to have to rev the engine out to get yourself going.
But now,
In
with
the torque.
modern oils and really thin bearing clearances and stuff, like, I mean, geez, the bigger the engine is, the harder it is to get it a high
Just
RPM.
get higher. Yeah.
My 455, that redlined at 4,500 RPM.
Which is
Yeah.
worse than
Big
my
motor.
Cherokee. Which
Dude,
is
yeah,
saying something.
Diesel.
That's what.
Yeah,
Oh my
it's
gosh.
basically a gasoline diesel.
Yeah, okay.
But so what I want to do is lighten up the rotating mass and stuff like that. Better
Yeah.
crankshaft, better rods, better pistons. I could get that thing to spin to $6,000.
Oh wow.
So kind of the same principle. You lighten up and stabilize the rotating assembly, and you have overhead cam, so you don't have to worry about push rods flying around.
Yeah.
You have direct
Blowing
control of
from
the
the head.
camshafts. Like that modern technology, you can spin that thing up to $9,000 and not even care. That's what the one Porsche was able to rev to $9,000.
Some 911.
One of the
the
911s. Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
it was that. I know it was a naturally aspirated one.
Yeah, but I mean,
GT3 RS.
Yeah.
it's still 9,000 RPM.
Yeah.
Is insane. In
Yeah.
a Corvette.
That's a ton.
Which is
of-
weird because, Corvette has never gone.
It's literally a
flat plane
supercar,
crank.
dude. It's
Yeah.
literally a supercar.
It is.
They've
It-
crossed that line.
Yeah,
now.
there's no questioning it now. It's mid-engine. It's gonna be that fast. It's
I
gonna
know.
have the sound, the high pitch
Yeah.
flat plane crank.
Yeah,
sound.
no, Corvette it's definitely a supercar now. Some people were like complaining that it didn't have the high revs that a supercar should have in the Stingray, but I feel like that's just a remnant of
It's
the
just a
Corvette.
Stingray,
It's just
though.
a
Yeah.
Corvette.
There's a transition period that's happening here because Corvette wants to appease the purists, so it
they
still
have
has
the
a naturally
LP too.
aspirated flat plane crank V8, get that normal V8 noise and stuff. And
That
then
sounds good.
as
Corvette
you
sounds
go
great.
up in the ranks, it's going to be more and more European style supercar.
I mean,
Because that's the only way they can compete with everybody else.
Well, I mean, also their price.
Oh
Yeah.
geez.
70.
I wouldn't be surprised though
$200.
if when the Zora comes out, that thing will cost $200,000 to $300,000.
Oh man, you think over 200 grand?
I really do.
I mean,
I'd say high
what's-
hundreds.
Currently,
200.
what's the most expensive Corvette? And I'm not talking about auctions.
Yeah. Oh,